Alright, welcome to a new Let's Play. This is Space Food Truck. I guess food truck is maybe one word. Anyway, so came up in the forums that Battle Brothers is a hard game. And, well, I agree. But there's a game that's even more, well, not hard isn't the word, frustrating. This is a frustratingly difficult game, and yet it's one that I think is pretty good. I enjoy playing it. It's a multiplayer game. Let's go ahead and get started. You can play online. It's set up as a very good, I think, kind of light co-op. But when I say light, I mean just in terms of like the commitment to time. It's actually a very deep game in my opinion. Let's see, we got save games. Go new. Now, I know that I claim to be a hardcore, difficult player. I gotta say, I cannot beat medium. This game is so hard. I've never beaten this game, actually. I played it in its early stages, and it's changed quite a bit as far as balancing and stuff like that goes, but I still can't even beat medium. I could never beat it even back then. Anyway, space. Sprinkled across its vastness are more exotic flavors than any single tongue could hope to fathom. We, the Galaxy Gourmet crew, risk our lives to bring the finest dishes from across the stars right to your home planet, and to earn money so we can repay your creditors for this very expensive spaceship. Oh, our creditors, thank you. The captain has plotted our course, the chef selected some signature recipes, Chef Gordon would approve, the engineer says all systems are go, and the scientist... We prefer not to ask what he's up to anymore. All we're missing are fresh ingredients and hungry customers. And they're not exaggerating when they say risk our lives. The events in this game are extremely brutal. Now, for me, this game, it's kind of it's a bit of a deck. It's got a deck building element. Captain's turn. So you have a deck of cards here. Every time a character has a turn, well, let's go ahead. There's going to be an event, usually bad. Anyway, Cosmic Raid. The lab's computer takes a few stray cosmic rays, scrambling one of our research topics. If they're all busted, take 1 damage. So I'll explain that in a moment. First of all, you basically have these 4 characters, Captain, Cook, Scientist, and Engineer. And the first thing that's going to be a little bit confusing when you jump into playing this game is this is the order in which they go, right? So Captain takes turn, Cook takes turn, Scientist takes turn, and Engineer takes turn. But if you look at the map, or your game board essentially, it's Captain, Scientist, Cook, Engineer. And I mean, I only kind of wish, just for logical consistency, that they'd switch the 2 rooms around. There wouldn't be any big change other than just cosmetics on the screen, but it would just line up nicely. That's something they've never done, and it's always been kind of an issue with me, especially coming back to the game after having not played it for a while. Now, anyway, what you have is you have a draw deck, you have these cards, and then you'll have a discard, and this, what we're looking at here, is just for the captain. Now, each one of these 4 guys has their own deck of cards, so let's take a look, okay? So here we can see, we don't get to see what the draw cards are, but you can see what your discards are down here. As far as I can tell, there's no way for me to know what is in the draw deck, and I don't like that. I wish I could, just... You're going to have to rely on your memory for that. But otherwise, I like this interface quite a bit. And then you can just go back and forth between the characters up here. So there's the captain, next will be the cook, this is what's going to be in his hand, and there's the scientist, that's what's in his hand, currently nothing discarded. And the engineer only has 4 cards, and that is because at the beginning of each game, you have these different elements of damage you can take, and if you click on these different rooms, you'll also get an idea of, you know, kind of what the status of the game is. Log, yeah, so this just records what has been going on in your game. Let's see, here's the help, reading the cards, etc. You can do that on your own. But if you go here to the workshop, I just clicked on the workshop room. This gives you an idea of how your ship is in terms of its current health status. So you have shields, you have hit points up here. There's your shields up here as well. And then you have these lab stations, and as you saw, we had the event, and it said, well, this lab station's damaged now. And then over here you have draw pods, and here the reason he has only 4 cards is because he started the game randomly with his broken, which means instead of drawing 5 cards per turn, he draws only 4. And if you fix it, then it'll get repaired. Now, how do you fix it? Well, you have to use the engineer. Your engineer, basically what he does is he fixes everything in the game. And if you hover over, this shows you also what's in his hand. And as you can see, he has nothing of value in his hand, so that's really crappy. And the chef has these 5 cards in his hand, and the scientist has these. He's also got a bad hand at the moment. I'm not happy about that. And yeah, all of them have kind of a bad hand. Well, but this is a good hand to start with for the captain, actually. We have Ask Around. So anyway, and our goal, if you click on the map here, you can see this is the galaxy. It's got some issues with the way the paths are made. It's hard to figure out a lot of times where the paths go. It's 3-dimensional, but with all the crisscrossing around, it's the developer said very recently that he intends to fix it, and this could just benefit from a straight up 2D lattice. But anyway, what this first means is, well, hang on. Yeah, okay, I'll explain the map and the goals. So our goal is basically to fix these 3 recipes using, and we have to get these cards. It's all card-based game. And so we're going to have to cook these 2 ingredients to get our first recipe finished, which is the beta bean salad. And we have to do that before we can cook the next recipe, and then here's our 3rd recipe, and they get progressively more difficult. And while cooking, you also need to deliver these to certain destinations, and that's what the first is. So our first recipe has to go all the way over here to this part of the galaxy, and then our 2nd and 3rd, we just have to get those over to these 2 systems here. And I'll talk about that more later, but that's the crux of the game. That's your goal, right? And you're going to lose the game if you run out of hit points. And your engineer, he can fix everything that's wrong with your ship except hit points. Once those are gone, you die. And unfortunately, that's how my games always end. Now, I was talking about the science here in the lab. So this is where you can unlock new cards for your characters, and we'll see that in a moment. And the engineer's the engineer's research lab panel is broken, so I can't get new cards for him until I fix it using, obviously, the engineer. It's annoying. Now, let's just go ahead and jump right in and start playing, and hopefully I'll try to explain how things are going as we play. Now, the captain, the very first card I'm going to play is this card called Ask Around. It's a job card. What job cards mean is these cards can only be used by that character. And these other cards, you can actually give cards back and forth to other characters, and I'll be doing that later, because the most important thing in this game is managing your deck. You're going to be building your deck, but the problem is you need to be building a good deck, and you're going to be getting a lot of cards you don't want in your deck, and you're going to have to thin them out. If you've ever played the tabletop card games, either Dominion or Eminent Domain, then those card games have very similar mechanics, and that's kind of where my background was coming into this game, and why I was quite interested in this game when I played it. Now, what this card does that I've played is it scouts these systems. Every time you move to a new system, first there's going to be an event, and those events can be terrible, or they can be great. So that's what I want to find out, is what I'm up against. Handyman, this is a good event. That's going to be a good event. And that's actually going to mitigate the fact that my engineer can't fix anything. And you'll see that. Next, we have It's Back. Okay, so this is a bad event. I really wish also with this game that the bad events had a different color and the good events had had maybe the blue color and the bad events had like a different color, because until you learn what these titles mean, you're just not going to know. I mean, It's Back kind of sounds ominous, right? But some of them, it's like you won't know. Like the breaky bounce, I guess it has the word break in it. I don't know if that's good or bad. And I'm going to scout system 3. Oh, and I can get a special ingredient here. That's what the orange means, mammon eggs. And if I go up here, I need mammon eggs. So this is going to be an early destination for me. Now, after you trigger whatever the event is here, and I always like to scout the systems I'm going to instead of just like randomly somewhere else in the galaxy, because I want to know what I'm up against. Like, it's back. I can handle this event if I have the right cards in my hand and I know that it's coming. Or, in some situations, I might just plot a course around a really bad event, like Space Pirates or something. And by the way, the RNG, the random element in this game, can really mess you up. Like, getting Space Pirates in your first jump, if you jumped blind. Man, jumping blind is really... I hate doing it. That's why I always, when I can, ask around to scout ahead of the course I'm about to take. Alright, so we have engage... Actually, hang on one sec. We got no energy in our FTL. Handyman, mammon eggs. I think I'm going to do 2 jumps. Now, how that's going to work is... every time you play engage, you get to go along a certain path. Now, I could do engage with these 2 power cards. Now, what it means by power charged is you have these 2 elements on your cards. The orange is the power. You use power to do different things in the game. So, example, for engage, play this with power to charge the FTL drive and then travel as far as your charge allows. And here in the blue, this is just its credit value worth. So if you've played, well, let's see, what was it called? What was it? It was that fantasy game. It was kind of a hack. What was it called? I forgot. But anyway, you use the value of this credits in your hand to buy new cards. And I'm not talking about Race for the Galaxy either. Race for the Galaxy is an awesome card game, but it's not as similar to this as the other one I was thinking of. Oh man, what was it called? That's going to really bother me. I own it too. I own it in Japanese though, which is another problem. With Thunderstone, that's what it was called, Thunderstone. So anyway, those are the 2 basic values. Now, for the purposes of using the engage, this we can ignore. But I'm going to submit that. That charged my FTL by 1, and that's going to allow me to move 1 jump. And so we're going to move over here to the handyman. Punch it, Chewie. And there's our event. Handyman. Max the Handyman, one of your best customers, hails your ship. He'll lend you 3 repair points if you need a hand, and boy, do I. First, let's... oh, dang it, we don't have... It's 3, so we aren't going to be able to fix both of these. One of them's going to go to waste. Well, first, let's fix the... Let's fix the engineer's repair pod. And unfortunately, we don't have anything to do with this next one, so... yeah. That's okay, it's fine. Sometimes, I tell you, when I'm playing this game, I'm just glad to have an event that doesn't kill me. Like, to me, that's a win. So, okay, here's what happens next when you visit a system and you dock for the first time. Only for the first time. If you come back to a system and you dock, this doesn't happen, no event. It's just a free stop, like free parking Monopoly. But you get this selection of new blueprints discovered to add to your Zap Mart. And what this means is, you'll see, we get to add this to our Zap Mart. And this is a set of cards we are going to be able to purchase and add to our hand using the money value of the cards that we already have in our hand that we've played. Now, let's see. 7 is quite expensive. And I could add this to my Zap Mart, but I've already got a 7 cost card here, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to afford it anytime soon. The Unomass remote for 4, this is a good card. I'm definitely going to add that. I really don't like doing raw silk. I wouldn't mind having refined silk, though. I'm going to go ahead and take a risk on it. And then next, as you can see, blue meat is a ingredient. It's a common ingredient, but it's not up here in any of my recipes. I'm going to go ahead and grab it anyway, though, because having a card, even though it has 0 energy, it's worth 3 Zap Mart credits, and that's going to help me buy better cards like these 7s here. So I will go ahead and get it. And if I can't afford anything but blue meat, well, that's an indication that I need to get some more credits into my deck, so blue meat would be a good thing to buy. Alright, click resupply, and we're done. And let's engage... Oh, dang. We're going to engage one more time, actually. Submit. I am going to go ahead and get my mammon eggs and get those put into my Zap Mart ASAP. And probably I'm going to replace the blue meat with that. Great. Like, let's take a look here. Enriched Econium. I'm not crazy about the Econium, to be perfectly honest with you. The Astro Onion we definitely need. We also need the Space Kale, so that's going to be a no-brainer. Replace the blue meat with the Space Kale. Another Unomass remote. We've got 2 already. I think they're pretty good, though. I'm going to ditch the Flux Inverter. This is a good card, but... yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of it. And the Enriched Econium also I'm not gonna go with for right now. I am not good at this game, and I say that I don't even know what I don't know about how to play this game. Like, I don't know why I cannot win this game, but I cannot win it. But I know there's other people who can. But I'm just gonna go with my best guess for logic here. So I'm not gonna get another Refined Silk because it's very expensive, and we already have one in our deck. The Mammon Eggs are a must. The Space Kale is a must. And next, I would really, really like to get an Aegis battery. But I'm going to go for the safe one and go for the Unomass remote. Okay, so you can read these descriptions, and I'll go over them again when I purchase them or when I play them. Now, here you see these cards are tilted. That just means I've played them. You don't discard them immediately when you play them. You keep them in front of you because this is when the credit value of your cards is going to be used. So we finished doing our captain's role, right? So now we're going to go to next phase, and that's going to move us to the cook's phase. But before we do that, now we have to buy a card. Now you'll see here we have these leftovers, which cost nothing. You never want to buy leftovers. They're worth 0, and they only have 1 power. Now compare that, and they don't do anything. Now compare that to the Unomass remote, right? It has 1 power, and it's worth 1 credit, and it lets you do something. It has an ability, okay? And you can compare that to your starter cards here. A Taste of the Future, even it is better than Leftovers. It has 1 power, 1 worth, but it has no ability. It's just a card that, you know, doesn't do anything. So, anyway, in this situation, I can't afford anything too great. I will go ahead and get the Xenomass remote. And I like this one because it's essentially invisible in your deck. If you draw this card and you need another card, you can play this card to draw another card. And not just on your own character, any crew member. So yeah, this is a good card. Its ability is good. And if nothing else, you can punt with it and be like, ah, dang it, I didn't get the card I needed in my draw pile, so I'm going to just play this to draw 1 more card and hope for the best. And it adds to your credit that you can spend at the end of the turn with your Zap Mart. So yes, Unomass remote into our discard. When you purchase the card, it goes into your discard, and then you end your turn, and all these cards also join your discard, and you draw, in this case, 5 new ones. Unless your draw pod is busted, in which case you'll draw 4. And that number next to it, bonus card. Draw an extra card brought to you by Zapmart. There are some good events, but they tend to be only early only the early stages. So now our chef has 6 credits at the moment. He's actually going to get more because of something I'm going to do. With 6, we can do Mammon Eggs. Okay, that's good. We'll be getting the Mammon Eggs. Actually, actually, we'll buy both the Space Kale and the Astro Onion, I think. That's something I don't really do. I really don't think you ever want to buy more than 1 card on your turn, because part of the key of this game is keeping your deck as efficient as possible. We're going to play this card, Taste Test. I'm going to say right off the bat, your chef is your main card disposal mechanism. You can get some other ways to do it, but Taste Test, play to draw 2 cards, and select 1 to keep and 1 to trash. I'm actually going to take a Taste of the Future, and I'm going out on a limb, and I'm going to destroy the Cook card. Now this is dangerous because there's no way to replace this card. By the way, here where it says kitchen, this means to use this card, your character has to be in the kitchen. If your character is not in the kitchen when you play this card, they will move to the kitchen. Well, they're all 3 male, except for the captain, who is a like gelfling female. Anyway, the tricky thing though is the door has to be working. The door can break, and if the door breaks and you have to get into that room to play your job card, well, you're not going to be able to play the job card. You're stuck, and it sucks. Anyway, we're going to discard. We're going to destroy Cook, because I think I might have one more in my deck. So now I've added one value to my cards, and I'm going to do something here. I am going to actually move to the lab. Okay. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 worth. To do what I want to do, I have enough money. I'm going to give, this is kind of weird, I'm going to give to the scientist, this is what he has in his hand, I'm going to give to the scientist a taste of the future, which is not a good card to give him. But the reason I'm going to do it, and you can only give one card per turn, right? Like if I could try to do it again, you know, give it a rest. You can only give one card per turn, but it was very generous to try. And now we're going to go to next phase, and hopefully this door will not break, because I want to get a Cook card and go again. Now again, I rarely will ever buy more than one. You never want to really do this, what I'm about to do, which is buy 2 cards in one phase. But I'm going to, because the chef needs to have both of these cards. He doesn't have to have them. The other party members can buy them and then give them to him, or etc. Or you know, he can find ways to get them back. But having both of them in his deck now is really going to speed things up on this recipe. So yeah, rarely do I want to do what I just did, but that's what I'm going to do. Alright, now. Okay, and yeah, you'll randomly get these Vexel cards, and these guys are terrible. 0 energy, and they actually reduce the amount of credits you can play with. And that just went into his discard, so there's one Vexel card in his discard, and there's nothing I can do about it. Now, the reason I moved the chef in here was not just to give him a taste of the future, but because I'm going to give the chef a research card from the scientist. Now, the chef obviously isn't going to be able to use this research card, but the thing is, I don't need this many research cards, is my feeling. So yeah, I'm going to give it to the chef, and the chef will eventually be able to destroy that card. In the meantime, it's going to junk up his deck. I don't know if this is a good idea or not, but I'm going to try it. Next, I'm going to use Foresight. I like to use this card because it allows me to make a more informed research decision. I'm going to go ahead and use 2 and save 1 to do actual research. And I'm going to start with the... Well, actually, I can only do 1 of each, so... Oh, no, I'm going to scout the chef. Okay, dumpster dive. I'm not going to talk about that until I actually buy it, if I use it, but I don't. That's not the one I want. And yellow X, which isn't a bad card to have, but I don't want it. I want anything else. I don't want dumpster dive yet. What I really want to get is a flambe. And that's going to be... There's 2 flambés, so... Yeah, I have a 2 in 5 chance of getting it. Or I have a 1 in 5 chance of getting the discard dive, and then what are the other ones he has? Or taste test. Taste test wouldn't be terrible, but anyway, at least I know there's 2 cards down that I don't want to select for the chef. I have 1 research point. Let's go... Yes, great, that's what I wanted. Flambe. I love Flambe because it allows me to destroy cards, and oh man, do I want to destroy some cards. Okay, we're done with the scientist. And again, he has very little money, so we're just going to buy this Unomass remote and the turn. And... Alright, good. That's a good draw. That's a pretty good draw. Unfortunately, our engineer can do nothing. And he just got a Vexel. That's just great. Yeah, he can do nothing. What? Can he even buy anything? Okay, good. Thank goodness. See, that's why I kind of want to have some of these cheap cards, because if I'd taken only, like, really expensive cards, he wouldn't be able to buy them, and then he'd buy a leftover, which is not going to help him buy a card, so, yeah. Yeah, he can't do anything, which really, really is terribly lame, but Can't do anything about it. So buy the Unomass remote, end the turn. And please, 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 with the captain, do not screw me over. I need to keep that engaged. Meteorite. Okay, we can handle it. 1 damage. Damage goes to the shields. I can handle it. Now, let's scout. Whoops, 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 whoops. That's not what I wanted to push. Alright, I'm going to need, because I know what this event is, I'm going to need 2 energy to evade it. Now, I'm going to need to keep that in my hand, unfortunately. I can do that, but then I'm going to be discarding it as well, which means I'm going to have 3 money. So I'm going to need to remember to try to buy 3 money. Get a 3 money card from the next stop so that my captain doesn't have to take leftovers. And I definitely want to go 2, because if I go back to that visited system, I won't be able to draw any cards to add to my Zap Mart, and that's not going to be fun. Okay. So yeah, if I stop back here at Rotato, nothing good is going to happen. Here, at least I'll be able to draw cards, but I got to evade this back event. Alright, punch it. The planet names have some very cute... oh, you can always dock your ship and abort if you decide to. Like, or who knows, maybe you get a really terrible event and you're like, hey, you know what, we need to stop now. You can always do that, but nope, we're going to the next one. It's back! The terrifying monster that lives in our vents has found its way into the hall. Discard 2 power to shoot away, or we can't move for 4 turns. And that means that you can't move amongst the hall, and I do not want to deal with that, especially since my chef is currently not in his room. Okay, we got rid of it. That was close. Okay, good. We will need more space kale. Hall pass, that's decent. And spun silk, and we might as well get the blue meat. Just, it's better than leaving this empty because, hey, what happens if I buy all 6 of these and I still can't move to a new system to refill Zap Mart? I'll have to take leftovers. Well, blue meat is preferable to leftovers, let me tell you. Alright, resupply. And that has been one jump. I'm going to go ahead and stop the episode here. This is going to be a pretty short series because I usually don't last more than like an hour or an hour and a half in this game. I just get wrecked. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode, and we'll continue with our quest to feed the galaxy. See you then. Bye-bye.